Hello, my name is David Labby from BeaverPress, and today I'm going to be giving an overview video of a new highly anticipated plugin for Beaver Builder called User Access Extended. So what this plugin will allow you to do is to control what elements and settings within a Beaver Builder page you allow your client to edit or not edit. I strongly believe this is going to be a game changer for both you and your clients. So now you're going to be able to give your clients access to edit their own page and content, and at the same time, you can rest at ease knowing that they can only edit the content that you allowed them to edit. So to get started, let's go over to the admin of my demo site here. Under the Beaver Builder settings page, under user access, I have, for builder access, I have the administrator, which is myself, and in this case, I have an editor role, which will be my client. This can be any role that you wish it to be, but in this case, I just have the editor. Again, this will be my client in this demo. And for unrestricted editing, I just have myself, the administrator that has unrestricted editing. This will be the best case setup for version 1.0 of this plugin. Keep in mind that the next couple of updates of this plugin are going to be fairly large updates, and it's going to incorporate client profiles, and I'll get more in detail what that's all about. But you're going to be able to give your client unrestricted editing and then restrict all the settings on the front end of the site. So it's just going to open up a lot more settings that you're going to be able to allow your clients to edit or not edit. So again, as long as your client has builder access, and in this case it's my editor, and they do not have unrestricted editing. Again, this will be the best setup for version 1.0, but that will all change in the future updates of this plugin. And again, I'll give you more details on that as we move along. So, okay, so let's get started. I'm going to go over to the front end of the site. So to get started, I'm going to show you how to lock down and restrict sections of your Beaver Builder page from your client, as well as I'm going to show you how to enable other sections that you would allow your client to edit. So to begin locking down the page, we need to enable the User Access Extended plugin, and that is by clicking this user icon here in the toolbar. By default, it is not activated or enabled, so we're going to go ahead and activate it. You just simply click it. It will turn blue, indicating that it's active. There will be a lock icon and an unlock icon appear next to it, and I'll tell you what those are in a moment. For the rest of the page, you can see that all the rows and modules will now have this dotted outline around it. In this case, it's a blue dotted outline, and that is a visual indication to you that all these elements are not restricted from your client, and they will be able to come in and edit any of these rows and modules. So in order to lock down a row or module, if you hover over a module, for instance, you'll see this new blue icon. If you click that icon, it will turn red. It will outline in red, and if I move away from it, that blue dotted outline is now turned red. And that is a visual indication that that module is now locked out from your client, and they will not be able to edit this module. You can go down through the rest of the page, and you can lock up any other modules that you do not want your client to edit. You can also go to a row and click on the row icon, lock icon. Again, it will turn red. That row will turn, the dotted outline around the row will turn red as well. Again, you can just continue on locking down elements of the page. Now to unlock an element is just as easy. You just come find an element that you want to unlock. And so this heading module, we'll just go ahead and click it. It will turn blue. It will outline back in blue. And again, that blue dotted outline will appear. That's again indicating to you that that element is now enabled and your client can come in and edit it. So an easier way to lock down your page, instead of scrolling through and locking up each individual module and row one at a time, is to use what I call a parent-child relationship. So in this case, I'm inside a row and it has these three modules which I consider the children of the row. So if you go to the row icon, the lock icon for the row, you'll see a drop down. It has a lock and an unlock icon. If I was to click the lock icon, you'll see the row locks up as well as the children modules within it. Again, I can unlock the whole entire section at once as well. The row will turn blue as well as all the modules within it all in one click. So if I want to just unlock the heading, I can just simply lock the whole entire section, come down here and unlock the heading. And I can go down through the whole entire page and do that as well if I wanted to. Now let's just say I want to lock this whole section, but I want to enable the row for that section. Well, you just come over here and just click the row icon, the main icon for the row, and that will unlock the row but leave the children modules locked or restricted from your client. Now we can even take this one step further. Up here in the admin bar, you'll see these lock icons that I had shown you earlier. There's a lock and an unlock icon. If I was to click the lock, you're going to get a warning saying, are you sure you want to lock down the entire page? And in this case, yes, we do. So let's go ahead and lock it. And as you can see, if I scroll through the whole page, all the rows and modules are now locked or restricted from your client, and they will not have access to anything on this page. So if I was to go up here and click the unlock icon, it'll give you a warning. Are you sure you want to unlock the entire page? Yes. And again, it's just simply unlocks the entire page, so all the elements are unlocked. So this makes it super easy to go up here. For instance, let's go up here in the admin bar. Let's say I want my client to come in and be able to edit this text at any time they want. All I have to do is lock the page. Yes, I want to lock the entire page. Come to that heading and just unlock that heading. It is as simple as that. The heading's unlocked and the rest of the page is now restricted from your client. So now that we have an understanding how to lock and unlock elements on the page, I'm going to scroll up. Now I'm going to lock down the entire page. Yes, I want to lock the entire page. So at this point, I'm going to go through and unlock what I want my client to edit. So in this case, I want them to be able to come in and edit this row background. So I'm going to go over to the row, enable the row or unlock it. I want to unlock this heading as well. And I want them to be able to edit this text. So I'm going to unlock that. I'm going to scroll down and I want them to be able to edit the slider. I'll unlock that. And I want them to be able to edit this gallery here as well. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and save the page. Done. I'm going to publish it just as you would on a normal Beaver Builder page. And at this point, I'm going to switch over to a role or a WordPress user as a client. And in this case, I'm going to have a client with an editor role. And so we're going to be able to see exactly what the client's going to see at this point. So at this point, I logged out as my administrator role and I logged back in as a client. And in my case, this client has an editor role. So I'm going to go ahead and activate Beaver Builder again as a client. So now that Beaver Builder is activated, I'm going to scroll down, and as you can see, if I hover over the row here, you can see that as a client, I have access to the settings. If I can close that, if I scroll down, I have access to this heading and this text box below it, but I do not have access to the settings of this button here. I can scroll down. I do not have access to the settings for these modules. If I click on it, nothing happens. If I scroll down, I do have access to the slider, which is what we wanted. If I scroll down some more, again, these modules, again, nothing happens. If I click on it, as a client, I do not have access to those settings. If I scroll down, now I have access to this gallery. Again, that is what we wanted. I can come in here and make my changes as a client. So now that we have enabled the modules and rows for the page that we want our client to be able to edit, there is one other issue that you may have noticed. So if I go back up to the row here, for instance, if I open up the row as a client, you'll see as a client, I have access to all these other styling settings. And if I close that, if I go open up the heading, again, I have access to all of the styling settings and all these other advanced settings. So, but as an administrator and someone who set up the web page, you may or may not want your client to have access to all of these settings. And so in the next part, I'm going to log back in as an administrator, and I'm going to show you how to limit all of these settings and only show the settings that you want your client to have access to. So at this point, I logged out as a client and logged back in as an administrator. So I'm going to go ahead and access the User Access Extended plugin by clicking this icon here. So now I'm going to open up the heading module to start with. And inside the light box, you can see that we now have access to some new settings. We have a check all and uncheck all. We have all these blue eye icons on all the tabs and settings. And we also have this toggle switch here in the footer. I'm going to go over all these new settings and what they mean in a moment. However, as a client will have access to all of these settings here as well. So as an administrator, you may want to restrict a lot of these settings. So in my case, I want my client to only come in and be able to edit this heading. So to do this, we're going to need to remove the settings that we do not want our clients to have access to. So in this case, we're going to need to remove the HTML tag. So to do that, we simply click the blue eye icon. It will turn red with a slash through it. That is indicating to you that this tag or this setting is now been removed from your client. They will not have access to this setting. So I'm going to go down to the link. I'm also going to remove the link. And the only setting available to our client will be this heading tag indicated by the blue eye icon. So now we're going to want to hide the style tab as well as the advanced tab. So now we're going to utilize what I call something the parent-child relationship when it comes to tabs and settings. So if I select this style tab, for instance, you'll see that style tab is a parent to all of its settings within it. So if I select the eye icon, all of its settings will turn red as well. If I go to the advanced tab, you'll see that the advanced tab not only is a parent, but also these sections are children to the tab, but they are also parents to the settings within that section. I know it sounds a little complicated, but it's extremely easy once you start using it. So if I select the parent tab, you'll see that the section is also checked as well as the setting. And if you scroll down, you'll see everything has been checked off by me selecting the main tab. I can go down and select one of the sections. And in this case, it's also a parent to its settings. So I can select the visibility, make it visible again, and all of its children will become visible as well. Now I can go in and hide, let's just say hide this one display setting here, and that will be hidden. But the visibility section will be still visible because it has the breakpoint setting, which is also visible. Or I can just go ahead and again reselect the tab again, and that will recheck everything on the tab because we are now hiding the complete tab in all of its settings. So again, this is just a quicker way to go through and hide or make settings visible to your client. Instead of going through and checking each individual setting all at once, you can utilize its parent-child relationship. However, there's a quicker way of doing this. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck all of these tabs. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck all these settings. When the settings loads up for the first time, this is what you're going to see. So we're going to utilize what I call check all and uncheck all. And this is kind of the master check all and uncheck all. So I like to go ahead and check everything at once. So in other words, all the settings are now have been hidden. So if I go back and I can uncheck all too. So in other words, everything has been unchecked. Now, if I go ahead and let's say, again, I just want my heading visible to my client so they can come in and make edits on this heading. Well, I simply just go ahead and select check all, go down to the heading and uncheck. And that is it. That is as simple as that. We do not have to go ahead and select any of the other settings because everything else is hidden. All we did is checked all, and then we just go and uncheck what we want our clients to be able to edit. It is that simple. So I can go ahead and save that, and I can go to this section here, and I only want my clients to come in and be able to edit just this text box here. So in this case, the only setting within the general tab is this text box. So there will be no eye icon next to this setting. So if there's only one setting within a tab, the only thing to hide is the tab itself. So we want to keep the general tab visible. So we don't want to hide all these other settings. So we can either go ahead and just go ahead and select the tabs, or I can go check all and uncheck the general tab. As simple as that. Save that. So I'm going to go back to the heading module for a moment. I'm going to open up the settings, and I want to show you a feature called client mode. What client mode will do, it will give you a visual representation of what your client will see. To better explain this, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how it works. In the footer of the lightbox, you'll see this toggle switch. Right now, it is currently in admin mode. If I was to click the toggle, it switches over, and now it says client mode. It turns blue. Up here, you'll notice in the settings that most of the settings are now gone except for the heading setting. The heading setting is the only setting we wanted available for our client. So this is what your client will see on their end. Again, however, they will not see the check all or the uncheck all. They will not see any of the blue icons, and they will also not see the toggle switch here. They will only see the settings that you made available for them. So for fun, let's go back to admin mode for a moment. And as you can see in admin mode, we have all our settings available for us. So we can go ahead and I'm going to uncheck everything. So I'm going to start over from scratch. And if I was to click over the client mode, you can see that since I unchecked everything, I have all the settings here available for me as well. However, if I want to get rid of the advanced tab, I click the advanced and I can see what that looks like in client mode. I can refresh my client mode. To refresh client mode, you simply hover over client mode. You'll see this little refresh icon and just simply click it and it refreshes their page and it removes any of the settings that you chose to hide. So let's go back and let's just say I want to remove, let's go back to the style and I'm going to remove, let's just say this color setting. If I was to refresh it, it refreshes. If I go back in the style, you can see that color setting is now gone. I can go ahead and remove the style tab, remove the style, refresh it. The style tab is gone. Now the only settings available are the settings that were inside the general tab. Since the general tab was the last tab available, the tab does not need to show anymore. Only the settings need to be available. So I can go ahead and click the link as well as the HTML tag because we do not need those for our client. I can go ahead and refresh it. And again, we're back to only providing the heading setting. So client mode is just a really cool way to see exactly what your clients are going to be able to edit or not edit on a page. So we can also go ahead and save while in client mode. We do not have to switch back to admin. We can go ahead and save this. And again, if I open up the heading, again, it's going to automatically default to admin mode. You'll have to switch over to client mode whenever you wish to use it, but it's always there available, and it's just a really, really cool feature. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and let's just go ahead and open up this text box here again. And I'm going to switch over to client mode just to see what this looks like in client mode. And as you can see, all the tabs are gone, and all we have available is our text box here that we want our client to be able to edit. So that is perfect. That is exactly how we want it for our clients on their end. So I'm going to go ahead and I can go ahead and just save that. And let's move along. We have some other settings to hide from our client. So let's go ahead and tackle the slider. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the slider settings. Inside the slider settings, you'll see a section here called a multi-field section. So what this allows you to do is add fields and subtract fields on the fly. There are other Beaver Builder modules such as the testimonials module, the accordion module, and a few others, as well as some third-party modules that will use sections such as this. Now when you come across a field section such as this, the multi-field section, there are a few extra restriction settings that you must apply for your client. So let's go ahead and let's just say I want my client to be able to come in and edit the slide 1, and in that slide 1 I want my client to be able to edit the header, the photo for it, as well as the text for that slide. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check all. So I'm going to restrict all the settings for this module. I'm going to go ahead and unlock the slide for slide 1 because I want my client to have access just to slide 1. As you see, slide 2 and slide 3 are locked up. I'm going to go ahead and edit the slide. Inside the edit pop-up, there are a number of settings here as well. The only settings I want my client to be able to edit is this photo, the heading, and the text. So I'm going to go ahead and check all to start with. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to unlock the photo, the heading, and the text box. So now my client can edit the photo, the heading, and the text box, and we can check that by clicking client mode and just seeing what my client's going to be able to see. As you can see, the only available settings here is the photo, the heading, and the text area here, and that is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and it's going to bring us back to the main settings here. And I'm going to see what this looks like on my client side. I'm going to go ahead and check client mode. And inside client mode, as you can see, the only available setting here is my slide 1, which is perfect. So I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to go back to admin view. So a section such as this has other settings here as well that you might be concerned to have your client edit. So they can move a field, they can copy a field, as well as they can delete a field. And in this case, they can add a slide. So let's just say I don't want my client to be able to do any of these. I don't want them to be able to move, copy, delete, or add a slide. So this is where this little user icon comes into play. If you click this icon, you'll see that you have an option to remove those settings as well. We can remove the move button, the copy button, the delete button, as well as the add item button. Now that we hid those, let's go ahead and see what that looks like in client view. And your client is going to be able to see this. They will not have any option to move, copy, or delete a slide, and the add a slide button is now disappeared as well. So that is absolutely perfect. The only thing they're going to be able to do is come in and edit a slide. So example, they're going to come in and be able to edit. And you can see here, if we refresh client mode, they will only be able to edit the photo, the heading, and the text area. So that is absolutely perfect. So now let's go ahead and save this. Yeah, let's go ahead and save this. We'll back out of this. And now let's go down to the gallery. So the gallery is the last module that we're going to need to adjust the settings. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the gallery settings. So inside the gallery here, the only thing I want my client to be able to edit is the photos. I want them to come in and change the photos whenever they want within the gallery. So this is going to be pretty much straightforward. We're just going to go ahead and check all like we always do. It makes it much easier to check all first, and then we're just going to go and unlock or make the photos section here visible for our client. So they're going to be able to come in and edit the photos, and again we can see that in client mode. And as you can see here, this will be the only section our clients can edit. Perfect. So now that we've done that, that was pretty easy. We're going to save that. So the last thing we have to do is to give access, or a client access, to be able to change this background image for this row. So we just simply open up the row settings, and the row settings work much the same way as they do the modules. So as you can see here, here's the background image that I want my client to be able to come in and change whenever they wish. So we're just going to go ahead and check all, because I'm going to restrict all the other settings, and I'm going to uncheck the photo, and I'm just going to check it in client mode just to make sure. And as you can see, the only setting my client will be able to edit is this photo for this row, and that is perfect. So that was pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and save that. So now I'm going to go and save the page. I'm going to click done, publish our settings. And now I'm going to switch off my administrator role, and I'm going to log back into WordPress as a client. And in this case, this client's going to have an editor role, as I showed you in the beginning of this video. And then we're going to see exactly what our client can edit at this time on this page. So now I'm logged in as a client with an editor role in this case. So I'm just going to go ahead and activate Beaver Builder, again, as a client. And I should have access to the row, and I should be able to change the background image to this row, which I do. So let's go ahead and do that. I can open up the row settings again as a client, and as you can see, the only setting I have available is this photo setting, which is perfect. I'm going to edit this. Let's go ahead and just change that to something different. Save that. So as a client, I should be able to edit this heading, which I can if I open that up. As you can see, the only setting available here is the heading text, and I can change that to something epic is here. Again, as a client, I can change this text here. As you can see, the only thing available is this text box. I'm not going to change anything at this time. So if I scroll down, I don't have access to any of these other settings. So I do have access to the slider. And if I open this up, I only should have access to the slide 1, which I do. The only thing available is slide 1. I can't add any more slides. I can't copy, delete, or move slides around. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to go and edit this slide really quick. Now if I click edit, as you can see, again, as a client, the only thing I can do is change the photo, the heading, and the text for this single slide. So I can go ahead and just select a new photo for this slider. We'll select that. I can go ahead and change the text, and we can save that. Save that. And as you can see here, slide 1, we changed the photo, changed the text as well. So perfect. So if we move down, in the last module that we changed or restricted for our client is this gallery. So if I open this gallery setting up, as you can see, I allowed my client to edit just the photos. Again, so since I'm a client, the only thing I can do is edit the photos. So that's perfect. So let's go ahead and edit the gallery. I can just go ahead as a client. I can, let's say, remove one. Let's add a photo. Let's just add this one here. That might be a duplicate. It is a duplicate, but that's okay. We'll just update the gallery, save it, and down here it should be that new image that we just threw in there. So perfect. So this was a quick overview of the new plugin, User Access Extended version 1.0. So as you can see, this plugin is going to be a game changer for both you and your client. And this is only the beginning, so I encourage you to follow along the progress of this plugin, as well as I look for feedback from you guys on how this plugin can improve in the future. So again, my name is David Labby. I'm from BeaverPress, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.